And this is an interesting study a couple of years ago where they wanted to see, well, when we're losing muscle as we're getting older, well, what are we losing? And then can we really do anything about it? We're pretty sure we can do something about it, but what actually is going on here? So they looked at men, a group of men that were around 23 years old, and then men that were older, around 71 years old. And they measured the muscle fiber types and sizes in both of these groups. There's two major types of muscle fibers, type 1, type 2, that we have. And what they did is, after they did the measurements, they then had the older subjects perform weight training. So they lifted weights for 6 months, and then they measured their muscles again to see what the changes were. And they found that during aging, so the difference between the young guys and the older guys, the muscle that was lost was the type 2 muscle fiber, not the type 1. And the fiber itself, this is another word for cell in muscle terms, actually didn't disappear. Its size changed. So that's the loss, is really the contents in the cell that are disappearing. The cell, the fiber, is still there. All right? And it was the type 2 ones that were being affected, not the type 1. So the type 1 are the fibers that you use if you do long, slow distance activities, if you walk for an hour or you run a 5K, long, slow distance. That's what the type 1. They sort of long, slow, very aerobic. The type 2 are fast, twitch muscle fibers. So if you're going to sprint somewhere, if you're going to lift a weight, if you're going to do something quick and powerfully, that's what basically these guys are going to do. And those are the ones that we were losing. We weren't losing them, losing the cell contents, shrinking down. And so again, they gave that older group a chance to do some weight training, and they increased their muscle mass, not surprisingly. And what they increased was exactly what was being lost in aging. That type 2 fiber size, the cell contents came back. All right, so all the proteins and structures inside the cell that give it its thickness, they came back. That's called hypertrophy. It got bigger. So what you lose during aging in terms of the muscle mass is exactly what you can prevent or rebuild with weight training, it turns out. All right? So there's something you're not getting by just doing walking and running. Clearly, it looks like it has some benefit. Being active has a benefit. I just showed you respiratory benefits and cancer benefits. But it's not necessarily going to protect you from a hip fracture, from falling, from some of the musculoskeletal problems, all right? Because those fibers aren't affected. It's the type 2 fibers that seem to be affected here. And it looks like that resistance training is what really is assisting in that situation. So what is the balance shift? Well, it's clearly cell activity here. All right, these muscle cells are recovering their size. They're turning on. They're making new proteins. They're getting bigger again. They're being awakened. They're being told, hey, I actually have work to do. So I've got to, get up to the task, as it were.